This video is sponsored by Camtasia, the easy-to-use screen recording and video editing software. More about them later in the video. If you're new to making YouTube videos, or if you're considering starting a YouTube channel, I put together a 10-step process that's gonna help you make better videos. More importantly, I've also added some additional tips to each one of these steps based on my experience of uploading over 500 videos to this channel, over 80 videos to another channel, all the collaboration videos that I've done, and all the content that I've made for other people as well. In other words, I've made a lot of videos and I've learned a lot along the way, and I want to share that information with you if you're just getting started. And we're starting right now with step number 1, coming up with video ideas and researching video ideas. So if you're going to be making videos over a long period of time, which most of us aspire to do, then in that situation, the very first thing that you got to get really good at is coming up with video ideas for the type of content that you make. The very first way to come up with video ideas is, of course, going up to the YouTube search bar, typing in the type of content that you make, and then seeing what YouTube auto completes from the search that you're making. For example, if you're making gaming content, you would start with the name of the game that you play. If you're making cooking content, you might start looking around for some recipe ideas. Sport content, start typing in the name of the sport, and so on. But what you want to do when you are using the autocomplete on YouTube is you want to make sure that after you put in the topic that you make videos about, that you put a space and then you do letter A, for example. And then you'll see all the different things people are looking for around the letter A. Do a backspace, and then you hit B, and then you're going to see all the things people are looking for around your type of content, the letter B, and so on. The reason that this is a great method is because it helps you uncover things that people are actively looking for around the type of content that you make, so that you can make sure that you're publishing things that people are already proven to be interested in. Next, of course, you want to make sure that you are, coming up with just random ideas that happen to be in your head, because that's usually where the most unique content comes from. Another thing that you can do is you can also look at other people that make content like yours and see the type of content that they're making and use that as inspiration for additional ideas on top of the ideas that you already have. When doing this, you don't want to necessarily copy all of their videos, but what you do want to do is you want to say, hey, they made a video on this. Is there something complementary that I could make a video on, or something that would contrast this in some way? But the idea is that you use their content for inspiration, since they're serving the same audience that you are. The next thing that you can do on the video idea side is you can go to Google Trends. That will help you be able to uncover things that are trending around the type of content that you make, which is a really important thing to be aware of if you are making content in a particular niche. You can also use Google Trends to research the popularity of a topic over time. So for example, if you're like, hey, this was popular a while ago, I want to see if it's something that's still popular now, or something that's, rising in popularity or maybe falling off in popularity, Google Trends will show you that as well. The next part of the video making process is, of course, planning the actual content. Now, depending on the type of content that you make, this can go in a bunch of different ways. And what I mean by that is, if you're just on talking head videos where you're sharing general information like I am, then in that situation, it's relatively easy, because then all you have to do is you just plan out your script, or you plan out your bullet points, and then you move forward from there. However, if you're doing cooking videos, or you're doing filmmaking content, you're doing vlogging content, you're trying to level it up a little bit, then in that case, you might use this opportunity or this section of the process in order to plan out your shots and things like that. If you are doing really high level stuff to where you're going to, specific locations and things like that, then in that case, this is also where you do some of that scouting. Now, the next part of this planning process is really important, because it's going to make a difference on if people are going to end up staying in your video or not. If they're going to click on it and then leave instantly, or if they're going to click on it and they're going to stick around for a while. That part of the planning is actually writing out your hook. And what your hook is basically, when your video first starts, you have to be able to grab the viewer's attention. And we call that the hook. And you can do that verbally, depending on the type of content that you make. Depending on the type of content that you make, you might need to do it visually in terms of, starting to build up the story through the footage that you're showing, things like that. But what you do at the very beginning of your video is extremely important for the overall performance of your video. So because of that, spend some time really working on your hook and making sure that as soon as your video opens up, you're really trying to compel people to keep watching your video. And you don't do this by saying, hey, just watch to the end of this video. You do it by thinking about the people that are coming into the video based on the type of content that you make, and thinking, what does this person really care about? What can I use here in terms of what can I show them? What can I say to them in order to make them interested enough in my content to want to watch longer in the video? When you're planning out your content, you also want to make sure that you're thinking about the structure that you are applying to your video, because you don't want to just record a video willy-nilly and put it out there. You want to have some type of structure that you're taking people through. So for example, that structure could be a listicle video, to where, these are 10 different steps on making a great video, for example. It could also be a story arc that you're going to take people through, and so on. But the idea is really thinking through the structure of your video video and how a viewer is going to experience your content. That's a really big part of the planning process. Step number 3 is to set up your recording environment. This one, of course, is dependent on the type of content that you're making, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you do have a background in your videos, which pretty much every video unless you're using a green screen does, so you want to make sure that the background is, cleaned up and that you don't have anything that's distracting in the background and that you have the viewer focusing on the thing that's most important for your type of content. When it comes to your recording environment, you might also want to consider adding personality items. And what a personality item is it's items in the background that show things that you're interested in that helps viewers connect with you based on the things that you're interested in. For example, if you watch my videos on a regular basis, you might have noticed this stormtrooper helmet that I have in the background. That is a personality item. And the overall vibe of your space can set the tone for your video, but it can also just kind of share a little bit about what it is that you like things to look like or what it is that you're into or your own vibe, and that can also be something that people can connect with. The next step in the process, number 4, is recording the actual content. And it's only number 4, we got 6 more of these to go. But using everything that we've talked about so far, you want to record the actual video content. But here's some things that you want to make sure that you keep in mind when you're recording your video content. The very first part of this is to make sure that you have at least decent lighting. So if you're on camera, you want to make sure that you're lit well. If you're showing objects or whatever it happens to be in your videos, you just want to make sure that there's enough light on it to where when people are watching the video, they can clearly see whatever it is that you're talking about. And as a quick side note, you don't need all these lights and stuff that you see going on here. I mean, of course, that's like a certain way of doing things, but at the very least, if you just sit by a window, that window, as long as it's daylight, of course, will give you enough light to help you fully be able to see what's going on if you're recording indoors. As part of the recording process, you also want to make sure that you get really good audio or really good sound in your videos. And one way to do that is to turn off any fans that you have running, turn off any air conditioners that you have running so that you can make sure that all of the audio devices are focusing solely on your voice without a bunch of additional things going on in the background. This is especially important if you don't process your audio after you record it. When recording your video, you also want to make sure that you keep your framing in mind. Framing is essentially how things are positioned within the space that you have to work with here in the video. For example, if I'm making videos and I'm just kind of down here like this, it makes the whole thing kind of awkward and it would just be kind of weird to watch a video where this is going on for the entirety of the video. Wouldn't you agree? The easiest way to do this is just to simply make sure that your subject or you are centered in the frame. That's the easiest way to do it. If you're showing yourself on screen, you can also put yourself in a left or a right third, and by doing that, you are also positioning yourself properly in the frame. And look, as one additional tip when you're recording your video, I want you to know if you're just getting started or if you're considering starting a YouTube channel, I want you to know that when you're recording your videos, if you are speaking to the camera like I am, or if you're, if you have anything where you're talking to camera, then it's normal to mess up your words, to mess up what it is that you're saying, to lose your train of thought, to have to record the same clip a nice handful of times, to have to repeat things a lot. That's part of the process. So if that happens to you, you're not dumb, you're not messing up. It's not something like, oh gosh, this is so hard. You're not doing anything wrong. That's normal. All of us do it. You just don't see it because of the editing that we apply to our videos that removes all of that stuff. And the way that we record the videos also makes it easy for us to hide those kind of things. So you don't see it, but we do it on our end as well. So rest assured that that frustration that you might feel when you're recording your content, it's a normal thing. Again, you're not doing anything wrong. The next part of the process, which you could also put this one in front of the recording if you would want to, but either one, it works fine, whichever position that you place these in. But the next part of the process is creating or sourcing any additional items that you're going to be using in your videos. For example, if you want to use any screen recordings, you can do that using Camtasia, which I mentioned at the beginning of this video. All you have to do is open Camtasia, choose the option to record your screen, and do your thing. In addition to screen recording, Camtasia is also a really easy to use video editing software that lets you zoom in and out of your clips, add text to your videos, add graphics to your videos. You can even add additional footage called B-roll to your videos to make them more dynamic and interesting. They also have music and stock graphics that you can use if you're a Camtasia user. There's a link in the description to a free trial of Camtasia so you can give it a shot for yourself, and I'm going to put a coupon code right next to that link. So if you do decide to upgrade, then you'll save 10%. And a shout out to the staff over at Camtasia for hooking us up with that discount. The next thing that you want to do in the process of making a great video is you want to organize all of your files. Your screen recordings, any additional graphics that you're going to use, any music that you're going to use, additional footage, any of that, you organize it into folders so that you can make sure that it's easily and quickly accessible when you get into the actual edit of the video. This right here is the structure that I use for this. It may or may not suit your needs, but you might find it helpful. Okay, so now that you came up with a great idea, you've planned everything, you got everything recorded, you've got all the additional stuff that you're going to be adding to your videos, the next thing on the list, of course, is editing the actual content. For this, like I mentioned before, you can use Camtasia. It is fantastic if you're just getting started making videos as a video editor because it doesn't have all the complicated stuff. Everything is really easy to do. But on the tip side of editing, you want to make sure that you cut out anything that doesn't add value to the viewing experience. So if somebody's watching it and you think, I don't know, this is doesn't really add much to the viewer, for example, like a big, long, fancy logo intro, cut it out if it doesn't add value to the viewer. Also, cut out any excessive ums and ahs because the last thing that you want in your video is a bunch of like filler words and see how it just it just like slows the video down and makes everything you know what I mean? The reason that you want to take out all those ums and ahs and other filler language is because it takes away from the viewing experience. It makes the videos hard to watch and it just makes things a little bit confusing. In fact, I put out a video recently when I crossed 800,000 subscribers that I edited myself instead of Vigard editing it. He's a much better editor than I am. And because of that, when I put out that video, I was just cutting everything, relatively quickly to get that video out. And when I did that, it was just filled with a bunch of filler words and I even had people mentioning it in the comments. So in terms of how distracting it can be, it'll be so distracting that you'll have people mentioning it in the comments. So it's best to just cut that stuff out of there. When you're editing your videos and you're choosing your graphics and your music and how fast you're actually cutting and how much you're jumping around and all those types of things, you also want to make sure that you're editing in a way that's appropriate for the audience that you're trying to reach. Here's what I mean. If you're editing for a younger crowd, faster pacing, intense music, all that good stuff, it can be really effective for keeping them watching. Some of that can also be effective for the older crowd, but as you start getting into the much older crowd, then slowing things down just a little bit because, us older folks, we can't comprehend things at the speed that you younger folks can. But you know what I mean. When you're editing your content together, you just want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that's appropriate for the audience that you're trying to reach. The next thing that you want to do in this process is, of course, upload your video to YouTube. But wait, there's more, because I've got tips on this one, and then we still got 2 more to go. When uploading to YouTube, make sure that you upload your video as unlisted. This allows you full access to everything that you need in order to fully prepare your video for publish. As an example, you can even go in and pin a comment when your video is unlisted versus if you upload it as a private video. Make sure you fill out your video description with a paragraph or 2 and make sure that you put links to a few relevant videos in your video description also. Make sure that you use everything, titles, tags, descriptions, end screens, like all of it, because it's there for a reason. It's there for you to use it. Use it. When choosing videos that are going to go in your end screens, make sure that you're linking to relevant content. And what I mean by that is when a viewer is watching your video, they clicked on that video for a reason. It's because it's something that they're interested in. So as they get to the end of your video, what you want to think about is you want to think about the people that are watching this video. What are they likely to be interested in terms of something they might want to watch next? And that is what you want to link to. And if you have a whole playlist of relevant content, then of course it's even better to link to that. The next thing that you want to do in this process is, of course, you want to optimize your video for discovery on YouTube so that you can actually get views on what it is that you're doing. Here's what I mean by that. Make sure when you are writing your title that the thing that is most important for the viewer that you are trying to reach, the thing that would be most important to them, make sure that that's as close to the front of your title as possible. And the reason for that is YouTube cuts titles off in different places on YouTube. So you want to make sure that the thing that's going to help the viewer identify how your content is important to them, you want to make sure that that's visible for those people. You of course want to add a thumbnail to your video. And when you're adding a thumbnail to your video, what you want to think about is you want to think about if somebody were to log onto YouTube right now, somebody that I'm trying to reach, and they don't expect to see my content, what about this thumbnail would grab that person's attention, and what about the title that I'm writing would be compelling enough for that person to say, hey, this grabs my attention, this video title is compelling enough that I actually want to click on this and go in and watch the video. Because when it comes to grabbing attention from the homepage and suggested videos, these are called the recommendation features. When it comes to grabbing attention from YouTube recommendations features, then you have to make sure that you're thinking from that perspective. Because if your videos show up in search, it's really easy to get people to click on those because people are looking for your videos. However, when it comes to where the majority of the traffic is on YouTube, the recommendation features, you have to make sure that you're thinking the people that are going to be seeing these videos aren't expecting to watch them. So because of that, I have to get really good at understanding the people that I'm trying to reach so that I can make sure that I'm making thumbnails and titles in a way that will help those people be compelled to click on my video based on the things that they're interested in or the things that they're curious about. In addition to that, when it comes to your thumbnail, you want to make sure that you're focusing on the thing that would be the most important to the viewer. So you want to make sure that you're not just filling it with a bunch of distracting stuff. You want to make sure that you're focusing your thumbnail on the thing that would be interesting or compelling to the person that you're trying to reach. And of course, the next thing that you want to do is hit the publish button. Now look, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're getting started on YouTube. If you want to learn how to become a successful YouTuber, click into this playlist right here. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.